Jeff from Maryland. What's up, Jeff?
Hi, Clay. I'd appreciate your thoughts on my comments, but I really wanted to hear the good doctor on his comments. I'm Jewish, so I know a thing or two about persecution. 740 BC, 3,000 years ago was the first one. The last one was October 7th. Racism certainly and unequivocally is a problem for black people in this country, but it is not the problem for black people in this country. I'll give you a real-life example and a documented statistic. I have one son born in
Jeff, can I just say this to you though? Because my patience is thin and my spirit is weary. All right, I'm not going to tell you what your experience is as a Jewish person, because that would be disrespectful. So what I don't want you to do is tell me what is or is not the major issue for black people, because you are not a black person. So I'm going to stay in my lane, and I'm going to need you to stay in your lane. I don't care what data you have. I'm sure it's selective. I can pull up data, the whole bit. But let's not do that. So you talked about your experience as a Jewish person, and I'm going to affirm that. And so as we talk about our experience as black people, maybe you should just listen and not try and push back on it. Because racism is not just about that 6-letter word. It's a lot of levels and history and systems all around that. And I'm just not in the mood right now to explain every nuance of that to you. That's just not where I am and my spirit is. And where we are in this country right now with this person who is president-elect is beyond racism. I'm not just worried about black people. It is beyond racism where we are right now for this country. So let's just forfeit the data you want to show up, because this isn't your experience. You know? Go ahead, Jeff.
Okay, can I give you at least what? Forget the statistic. Can I give you a real life experience?
Let's just focus on your comment. I don't need you to school or explain what the experience is of black people. You have your own experience. That's fine. So, and I got to tell you, Jeff, like you've called before, and we met you at Beyond the Mic, and it's what I would hope you would have, Jeff, is some empathy. If you listen to the show every day, as you say you do, all the people who have called in, and they're afraid. They're afraid. If I heard a bunch of Jewish people calling in to a radio show and saying, I am scared for my future, for my families, for my schools, for my communities, I would have so much empathy, and I would listen. And so what's so frustrating is that you don't seem to have that. You want to try to explain it away. And that's just not what we need right now. It's just not what we need. It's very disappointing, actually. Final comment. Go ahead, Jeff.
Okay. I'm just going to, fine. I'm going to give you one comment. I have one son born in 77 and one son born in 80. When they each were 10 years old, I woke them up on a Saturday morning at 5 o'clock in the morning. No 10-year-old wants to get up at that early, especially on a Saturday. I did that because I did not want to influence their opinions later in life for the people who lived in that area. Every person was asleep. It took 40 minutes to get to Southeast Washington, D.C., to be exact. And we went to Martin Luther King Boulevard. I didn't say one word. The streets were full of garbage, broken glass, boarded up buildings, broken windows, torn down buildings, blah, blah, blah. I didn't say a word.
Well, and what is okay? Give me your point, because I'm getting ready to say a word. Like, you get me. If you're about to go where I think you're about to go, this is not gonna. What is your point?
You don't know what my point is. My point is, I took them there, and they figured out what the difference was. I am not a racist. I'm not anything like that.
If you ain't a racist, you don't have to say you're not a racist. And what did they figure out the difference was, Jeff?
They figured out the difference when they looked at that place and they looked where they grew up. They said, "Why, Daddy?" And I told them education is the key. And one kid worked for Goldman Sachs. One kid works trying to cure pediatric cancer.
And here's what you should have told them, but you didn't know, Jeff. Why do these areas look like this? From D.C. to Jackson, Mississippi. And what you should have went into is history, which I don't know if you knew. What you should have went into is redlining, which I don't know if you knew. What you should have went into is the Department of Agriculture, stealing from black farmers starting in the 1920s, which I don't know if you knew. What you should have went into neighborhoods being torn down, being burnt to the ground. What you should have went into is into the D.C. riots specifically, that the city of D.C. inflamed and never cleaned up. What you should have went into is that a riot is an uprising of the people who are frustrated. What you should have went into is not even education, a lack of jobs. Or how about a horrible minimum wage? That it isn't about a black crime, it's about poverty crime. But you didn't do that. So you may have passed on foolishness to your kids. Driving through these delicate white kids of yours through a black neighborhood, you didn't teach them anything. You probably taught them the wrong things. And I've been in poor white neighborhoods too. You should have took them on a plane to West Virginia. You're totally off, man. You're totally, totally off. And I encourage you to just maybe don't call in for a while and just try and listen, because you're consistently missing something.